The landscapes of our lives are for learning, where experience is our teacher. When we gather together to share our resources, we are destined to love and thrive. Good morning, Pierre.
Good morning, Maureen.
How are
Oh
you?
my goodness, what are we talking about this morning?
The Ragged Edge of Silence, Finding Peace in a Noisy World by John Francis,
By
PhD.
John Francis?
John Francis. I didn't know he's a
Okay,
PhD. I don't think that
John,
matters.
John Francis.
Here's the
So wait a
here's
second. Give me the title again. Wait,
the
what is it?
ragged edge of silence. Finding peace in a noisy world by
The
John Francis.
ragged edge of silence. I'm just meditating on that for a moment. This is a book. I haven't read it. So what's going on?
2011 this came out. What I taught this book, I used this book to teach my students with my fellow humanities history teacher, Ryan Quinn. We used it when we co-taught American Studies class, which is a humanities class, of about 40 kids. And we decided that we wanted to teach listening because of how important it was. Ryan was very much into Zen Buddhism and
Oh,
meditation.
he's the Buddhist guy. Okay.
Yeah. And so we were trying, and I was trying to hit all the language arts, not just reading, writing, and speaking, but listening, because it's so powerful and important. So I found this book by this guy, Ragged Edge of Silence, John Francis, and he ended up being silent for 17 years. The dude
What?
walked around California and
How,
he decided to just be silent for like, I forget the details because it's been a while,
right?
like 10 years. He just, I think, decided one day, like, oh, I'm just not going to talk. I'm just going to be quiet. Okay. And then it led to the next day and the next day. And the next day turned into 17 years of silence.
This guy is my hero. I mean, I can't stay silent for like 17 seconds. Go ahead.
Anyway, it's not only is the story kind of cool and adventurous, he, in his book, he has these little exercises at the end of each chapter to kind of get people to reflect on, just how powerful silence is, and
What's one of them? What's an
well, how much
exercise?
more he listened. And I wish I could I should have like reread it before we talked about this, but I'm scrambling through the pages now to find
Well,
like
hold
an
on one second.
exercise.
Hold on one second, if you can. I mean, how do you, okay, this is a Pierre question. How do you exist without speaking? I mean,
Here it is. This is a quote. These were meditations that put me more in touch with my world, with the life around me, from the life I could directly lay my hands on, to the perceptions at the fringe of my reach, to the very jagged edge of existence. I highlighted that. By being quiet, he was able to really connect deeply and hear, you know, within himself, everything around himself, nature. He walked everywhere. He was very immersed, like everything became more
let me ask,
tangible
this is
or
amazing. This is
alive.
amazing. This is amazing. Well, I get all of that. How did it affect your students? Did they get their heads just like exploding head emoji like this
Well,
dude?
yeah, we assigned this as, well, I assigned it as summer reading. I said to Ryan, this is what we're doing. They're gonna read this book and we're gonna introduce this theme of listening.
Right.
And so the first day of class, they all came into our room and
Right.
we didn't speak to them.
The whole class?
The whole
Two
class.
teachers didn't speak?
Yeah. So of course, conventionally they come in and think, okay, teacher's going to tell me what to do on the first day of school. We're going to get their
Right.
syllabus, blah, blah, blah.
Right. Right.
I had prepared, a slide that I put on the board or whatever of like a way to communicate, like, this is what's happening. We're not talking. The theme
Oh, I see.
listening. You guys read this summer reading book, and you decide what the classrooms are. You all talk and we'll listen to you, because we wanted to, first of all, respect
That's novel.
them as equals in the learning process. Like, we're going to
Sure.
listen to you.
Sure.
We understand the power of
How did
being
that go down?
heard,
How
being
did that go
listened to.
down? What did your classroom look
Good.
like?
Like, well, you just saw, different personalities kind of take the lead, and, okay, guys, here's our task. Like, let's do it. And we just observed and listened and listened to what they wanted, what they expected from class, us, and I don't know if we had anything about the summer reading on there, but yeah, it was great. It was great. It was a good way to create a relationship, a
Oh, wait a
listening
second.
relationship.
Stop right there. That's such an interesting statement. It's a good way to create a relationship.
Yeah.
Isn't that the truth? I mean, I know for myself, I do a lot of relationship creating and maintaining, and it's through talking. And what I realized through one of my relatives, a great uncle, couldn't get around very well, is that the real glue and the cement is the listening part.
Yeah. And it's so powerful on the person who's being heard and seen, right? Like you said in the last podcast, like that's a huge piece of who we are.
Yeah.
And our social engagement system is part of our nervous system. We have nerves in our face and innervated in our eyes and our ears and our mouths and in our throats and tone of voice, and all of that is deeply connected to the rest of our heart rate, our rest of our body. I'll just read another little clip here.
Please. I may actually read this book.
Oh my God, it's awesome. I can't believe I haven't told you about it.
No.
So it said, this is about, I think, in the context of solving problems, not speaking precluded argument, and the silence instructed me to listen. From this new place, lessons, or perhaps realizations, came. The first was that for most of my adult life, I had not been listening fully. I listened only long enough to determine whether the speaker's ideas matched my own. If they did not, I would stop listening fully, and my mind would race ahead to compose an argument against what I believed the speaker's ideas or position to be.
Totally.
Then I would interject at the first opportunity. Often I did not listen long enough to understand anything that the speaker had to convey. Giving myself permission not to speak, not to attack some idea or position, also gave me permission to listen fully. In an uncanny way, giving myself this permission gave the speaker permission to speak fully his idea or position without the threat of rebuttal. This was both a sad and a joyful moment for me. I realized that because of my inability to listen fully, I had missed many opportunities to learn. The joy of this moment came from the realization that if I practice listening fully now, perhaps there would still be opportunities for me to learn.
Wow, that's beautiful. I'm gonna check out that book. I gotta sort of augment my reading list, and that sounds like one I would do. I did. It's actually in 2015. I I set myself intentions in the first of the year. Sometimes there are a long list of goals, and sometimes they're simple. And in 15, I made it simple, and I called it the year of listening. And it was just an intentional program to stop talking as much and listen more. And it was a good year. I think that
was the year of training.
It was. And it was kind of a pivotal thing too. But this year is the year of avoiding negative statements, and qualify that by in the form of complaints or things that just aren't I don't know if the word is useful, but
Constructive or contributing
yeah, contributing,
positive way. Yeah.
contributing, yeah.
Help
And
someone grow or help something improve, or if it doesn't help
right,
something get better, then don't say
right.
it.
And if you put it through that, if you put it through that lens, and thank you for all those appropriate qualifiers. If you put it through that lens, it really filters out a lot of stuff. I mean, why am I saying this? And
Yeah.
is
Just
it
more intentional living, it's you're being more intentional and mindful about, you're just paying attention to what am I doing? Like, what am I doing?
exactly what am I doing?
What
What
do I
am I
want to
doing
do
this
better?
for?
Or what do
Does
I want?
anybody really want to know that,
Yeah.
I don't like the rain or my boots are muddy or something?
Mhm. Yeah, I think, we need time and space and a lot of regulation to be able to reflect on what we are doing, what we are thinking, what we are saying, what we're doing, and why, and to just try to reflect and be more, continue to be more intentional. I mean, I think that is the best we can do, right? And
Yeah.
mindlessness, whatever, and a lack of intentionality, and just,
Yeah.
that's
Well,
like
you know,
not
we we
helpful.
have this podcast, and long before we got down this road doing them, we decided to call it Learning Conversation. And it's so interesting to me how that title uh, just grows with the conversations that we're having.
Mhm.
And if I go back and think about or listen to the very early conversations, how much, I think we are learning conversation, and um, you know,
Yeah.
um,
Well, yeah, focusing on it and trying to learn just about it by talking about it is good. And in this episode, it's like, okay, what's the role of listening and learning? And ragged edge of silence. That's basically what that's about.
cool.
Yeah. And there's some stuff
Cool.
about meditation in there and stuff, and sensory, hearing things through your
I'm
senses.
gonna check it out. I'm gonna check it out, and
Yeah, you like it.
I love the range of
Plus, he's up in Northern
helpful.
California too. He's up in Northern California, so it talks a lot about California, where
I'll
you
go
are.
knock on his door.
I don't know.
Um,
Yeah, I don't know where he lives.
I'll hunt him down.
Okay.
This is Pierre from Yoga Heals,
In Maureen, Landscapes for Learning.
and peace through grace, my friends. Peace through grace.